Debarkation day. It's the morning nobody wants to wake up for. We just wrapped up our Ruby Princess cruise to San Diego and Ensenada, and today we're walking you through exactly what debarkation looks like in San Francisco at Pier 27. And just to keep it real, it was raining that morning. So if you're wondering what happens when the weather isn't perfect on debarkation day, this will be especially helpful. If you're sailing Ruby Princess or any princess ship out of San Francisco, this video is going to help you plan your final morning so it feels calm, organized, and stress-free. We're sharing what worked, what didn't, and a couple of very helpful pro tips we learned at the port, especially when it comes to timing and transportation in the rain.
We'll walk you through our debarkation morning step by step. From luggage tag groups and breakfast timing, to facial recognition custom systems, to exactly what time we were off the ship. And we're curious, when you debark, are you trying to be the first one off the ship? Or do you stay until your assigned time and they kick you off the boat? Let us know in the comments. Are you an early exit or sleep in? So let's start with how our debarkations time work. On Princess, you're assigned a tag color and a number based on your travel plans and departure time. Since we had a shuttle scheduled for 10:30, we chose the latest debarkation window available. That would be blue 50. Yeah. The idea was simple: sleep in, or at least for a while. You do need to be out of your cabin by 8 a.m. Relax, avoid the early rush, and step off when things had cleared out. And honestly, that part pretty much worked. Yep. The ship felt quieter. The elevators weren't as packed. There wasn't that everyone is leaving all at once feeling. But here's where the rain mattered. Because it was raining in San Francisco that morning, people were lingering inside longer instead of heading out early. And that compromised a little bit of the flow.
And because we chose the latest time, we also waited a little too long for breakfast, and we missed the window to eat in the main dining room. On debarkation morning, breakfast hours are shortened. If you want that relaxed sit-down MDR breakfast, go early, especially if the weather isn't great and people are staying on board longer. We thought we had more time than we did. By the time we went down, the MDR had closed. They kind of looked at us. So we grabbed breakfast in the International Cafe instead. It worked. It wasn't our original plan. So here's the takeaway. If it's raining, expect people to move a little slower, plan breakfast intentionally, and give yourself a little extra cushion time. Rain doesn't make debarkation chaotic, but it does change the pacing.
Yeah, once we realized the main dining room was no longer an option, we headed to the International Cafe, and honestly, it kind of saved the morning. On debarkation day, the MDR typically closes around 8:30 a.m., sometimes even earlier depending on the ship's schedule. The International Cafe, however, stays open later and is much more flexible. It's centrally located in the piazza. It's easy to access and perfect for lighter, quicker breakfast. You'll find pastries, breakfast sandwiches, yogurts, the occasional donut or cookie, fruit cups, specialty coffee drinks, specialty tea drinks. Yes. And it's not a full sit-down experience with servers, but on debarkation morning, convenience matters more than ceremony. And here's something we noticed. It wasn't chaotic. Yes, people were grabbing coffee, but the line moved quickly. If your goal is simple, efficient, and a warm cup of coffee in your hand before you leave, this works.
So here's the tip. If you're in a later debarkation group, like we were, Blue 50, plan for the International Cafe instead of the main dining room. And don't assume that MDR will stay open late just because you're getting off later.
Now here's something a lot of people don't think about. Real life doesn't always pause just because your cruise is ending. I had a call scheduled at 8:30 in the morning on debarkation day. So I needed three things: a quiet space, stable Wi-Fi, and somewhere that didn't feel rushed, loud, or chaotic. Remember, I'm kicked out of the cabin. So, because let's be honest, debarkation morning can feel transitional. People are rolling luggage through hallways, announcements are happening, public spaces are shifting into turnaround mode, but I found the perfect spot. The future cruise area at that hour was quiet. The seating was comfortable, and because most guests weren't thinking about booking their next cruise right then, it wasn't crowded. It felt removed from the main exit, which made a big difference. The Wi-Fi was steady enough for a video call, and I didn't feel like I was in the middle of traffic. So if you absolutely must schedule something that morning, it can work. You need to choose your location carefully. And here's a pro tip: log in and test your connection before your call time. Debarkation mornings are not the time when you need to troubleshoot your tech.
And while Pat was on his call, I noticed something really interesting. Debarkation mornings gives you a completely different perspective on the ship. The energy changes. You can see housekeeping already in motion, public areas being reset, staff preparing cabins for the next guests. It's like watching a carefully choreographed transition. It actually gave me an even more appreciation for how quickly these ships turn around. If you need a calm corner, the future cruise desk area is a hidden gem. If you don't have a call, but you're in a later debarkation group, this could be a peaceful place to sit, gather your thoughts, and ease into leaving instead of standing near the exit with your luggage.
So around 9 a.m., they started gently clearing the public spaces. And when I say gently, I mean politely, but firmly. They need the ship empty so they can turn it around for the next group of cruisers. So even though we were Blue 50, and technically among the last groups to leave the ship, the timeline does move quickly.
So don't plan to linger on board past 9 a.m. We definitely learned that. They'll start closing areas and you'll naturally move toward the gangway.
You'll be herded towards them.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about the actual process of getting off the ship. We stepped off Ruby Princess at 9:22, and it was incredibly smooth. Mm-hmm. San Francisco at Pier 27 uses facial recognition technology for U.S. citizens, and here's exactly how it works. You walk into the terminal. There are clearly marked lanes. An officer directs you forward. You step up to a small camera kiosk. You look into the camera, pause for just a second, and it matches your face to your passport information that's on file. And that was it. Yeah. There was no passport stamping, no paper custom forms, no long, uncomfortable interviews. It felt very modern and very efficient. And because we were in the later debarkation group, the flow really wasn't congested at all. We were moving almost continuously. If you're someone who gets nervous about customs, the process was far less intimidating than a typical airport arrival.
This was honestly one of the easiest debarkations we've ever experienced. There were staff members guiding everyone clearly, the signage was easy to follow, and because the technology moves people through quickly, it prevents bottlenecks. After facial recognition, we walked straight to the luggage hall. Our bags were already grouped neatly by color tag. Blue 50 was easy to find. And then we exited the terminal. If you're worried about long custom delays at Pier 27, don't be. At least in our experience, it was seamless. From stepping off the ship at 9:22 a.m. to walking outside with our luggage, it only took minutes. It was faster than we expected, especially for a rainy morning in San Francisco.
Once inside the terminal, we grabbed our luggage quickly. Mm-hmm. And I want to pause here for just a second. The luggage hall at Pier 27 is organized by color tag, and it's from the lower numbers to the higher numbers as you enter the room. Blue 50 was grouped together, and it was simple to find. There was no digging through piles. Once we had our bags, something really helpful happened. A porter approached us and asked if we needed directions for Uber or rideshare pickup. Now, we had a shuttle scheduled, but we always ask questions anyway because we like to understand the layout. And he gave us a fantastic pro tip. If you're taking Uber or Lyft from Pier 27, do not just stand outside the terminal with the rest of the people and request pickup right there, especially on a rainy morning. The immediate curb area gets congested very quickly, drivers circle, traffic builds up, and it can look and feel chaotic. Instead, walk a short distance, kind of kitty corner to the terminal, to the red brick building nearby and request your Uber to pick you up on Lambert Street. Lambert Street is easy for drivers to access. They can pull up, drop off, and pick up without fighting the terminal traffic pattern. It's smoother for them, it's faster for you, and on a rainy day like ours, avoiding that crowded curb area makes a big difference.
That tip alone is worth remembering, especially if you're sailing without prearranged transportation. Lambert Street near the red brick building. Simple, smart, efficient. And here's another thing. If you have heavy luggage or mobility concerns, a porter can assist you all the way to your pickup point. Tipping is customary, typically a few dollars per bags, and they are incredibly helpful navigating the flow. Pier 27 is very manageable.
Now here's where our morning got even better. While we're walking through the terminal, our shuttle company texted me. They were already there, they said, early. They were waiting in a nearby parking lot, and right there lowered our stress level immediately and made us not have to think where we're going to sit around for an hour. All we had to do was text them back and meet them at where they suggested, which was section 17. Now, if you've ever picked up transportation at Pier 27, here's how it works. Once you exit the terminal, there are clearly marked pickup sections in the parking lot area. They're numbered, large signs, easy to see. The drivers typically stage in one of those sections, and that's where you meet them. Because it was raining that morning, having that clear instruction, section 17, meant we weren't wandering around outside trying to figure it out. We walked directly there. The driver pulled up eventually. He loaded our luggage, and we were on our way.
Yeah, that made everything feel so easy. No stress, no rushing, no guessing where to stand. And that's the key with debarkation. Really clarity. If you're booking a shuttle from San Francisco Cruise Port, ask them ahead of time. What section number do you use? Will you text when you arrive? Where exactly should we meet? Those 3 questions make a big difference.
So overall, this was one of the smoother debarkation experiences we've had. San Francisco is a great port to cruise out of. San Francisco, Pier 27 is organized. The facial recognition makes customs really simple. Luggage retrieval was fast and easy. Our only real mishap was self-inflicted. It was waiting too long to get to breakfast. But we should also mention the night before was very windy coming back from Ensenada. You could definitely feel the ship moving. It wasn't unsafe or anything, but it was a rocky night. One of those nights when you're adjusting your balance just to walk a bit down the hall. And the next morning, we actually walked by one of the onboard shops and saw merchandise knocked over. Displays had fallen overnight from the motion. It was a reminder that we were truly at sea.
Yes, it was a rougher night than most people probably expected. You could feel the motion in the cabin. The waves had some energy for sure. And I actually think that added to why people were lingering on board longer than that morning. When you've had a rocky night and it's raining outside, no one is racing to be the first off the ship. But even with the wind and rain, the crew handled everything beautifully. The debarkation process was smooth. That's something we really appreciated. Even when the ocean adds a little drama, the experience still feels professional and well managed. So if you're cruising on Ruby Princess out of San Francisco, we hope this helped you feel prepared for that final morning. Debarkation is never the most exciting part of the cruise, but it doesn't have to be stressful either. And if you've sailed from Pier 27 before, we'd love to know your experience. Did you use an Uber? Did you eat breakfast in the main dining room? Was your debarkation smooth? Tell us in the comments below. We'd love to hear.
Yes. Was your debarkation full of drama or drama mean?
Yeah. Yes.
If this video helped you cruise smarter and travel better, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Calm Sea Cruise. We have more Ruby Princess cruises in content coming, including what we loved, what surprised us, and how we scored the sailing using our leader framework. So until next time, I'm Pat, and that's Kathy. Stay calm and cruise on.
Bye, everyone.